Hey, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going into the entire life of LUCERYS VELARYON, but before we begin, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, let's jump straight into it. LUCERYS is the second son of Rhaenyra Targaryen and Laenor Velaryon, younger brother of Jacaerys Velaryon and older brother of Joffrey Velaryon. Although presented as legitimate and third in line for the Iron Throne, LUCERYS and his brothers are in truth bastards fathered by Sir Harwin Strong. Because of his older brother Jacaerys will inherit the Iron Throne after their mother, LUCERYS was set to inherit Driftmark from their father. When Rhaenyra and Laenor return to their chambers in the Red Keep with the newborn Joffrey, they find Luke and Jace playing with Harwin. Luke and his brother show them the dragon egg that Luke chose for their new brother. Luke asks to hold Joffrey, but Laenor takes him and Jace back to the dragon pit instead for their training. At the pit, Luke, Jace, and Aegon pull a joke on the dragonless Aemond by giving him a pig dressed as a dragon and making squealing noises. Luke later trains in arms alongside Jace, Aegon, and Aemond in the Red Keep's courtyard under Sir Criston Cole. Sometime after that, Luke is present alongside Rhaenyra, Jace, and infant Joffrey as they see off Sir Harwin Strong, who is departing for his seat at Harrenhal. Luke himself later departs King's Landing along with his mother, brothers, and father for Rhaenyra's seat at Dragonstone. Luke is present when Rhaenyra, Laenor, Jacaerys, and the rest of the royal family during the funeral of his aunt, Laena Velaryon. During the funeral reception after, his grandfather, Lord Corlys, discusses with Luke on his future succession as Master of Driftmark and Lord of the Tides, once his brother Jace ascends the Iron Throne. Luke despondently responds to Corlys that he does not want to rule Driftmark. He reasons that when he becomes Lord of Driftmark, it means everyone else is dead. After the funeral of Laena Velaryon, Luke accompanies Jace, Baela, and Rhaena as they confront Aemond returning from riding Vhagar, Baela and Rhaena's mother's dragon. When they begin fighting Aemond after he hurls insults at them, Luke joins the fight after his brother is punched to the ground, only for Luke himself to be punched in the face by Aemond, breaking his nose. Despite this, Jace manages to push Aemond to the ground, and he, Baela, and Rhaena begin to pummel Aemond. Aemond nevertheless manages to escape, and when Luke attempts to engage Aemond once again, he is grabbed by the throat by Aemond, who brandishes a rock to hit him with, threatening to burn Luke alive just like his father, before calling Luke and Jace bastards. This prompts Jace to unsheath a knife and attack him, but Aemond dodges him before hitting him in the head with a rock. As Aemond prepares to strike Jace again, Jace blinds him with sand before Luke grabs the dropped knife and slashes Aemond in the left eye. The commotion attracts the attention of Lord Commander Harold Westerling and other members of the Kingsguard, including Sir Criston, ordering the children to cease fighting. After their fight, the children are brought to the Hall of Nine, where King Viserys angrily demands to know from the Kingsguard how this happened, while Aemond's eye is tended to by Maester Kelvin as Corlys, Rhaenyra, and Daemon enter the hall. As the children begin arguing on who's responsible for the fight, Viserys orders them into silence, before demanding the truth from Aemond. Queen Alicent comments on what more can be said since Aemond was made by Luke. Rhaenyra states in the defense of her children that it was a regrettable accident, that her sons were only defending themselves, and that the vile accusations of their parentage were uttered. When Viserys asked what insults were said, Jace states that Aemond called him and Luke bastards. Viserys demands for Aemond to tell him the truth on where he heard the rumors, when Aemond replied that Aegon told him. When Viserys questions Aegon on where he heard the rumors, Aegon simply states that everyone knows based on Luke and Jace's unusual Targaryen appearance. Viserys furiously demands that the children make peace with each other, as they are family, but Alicent declares this is insufficient. She proceeds to demand that in exchange for Aemond's eye, LUCERYS must lose an eye as well. Viserys shuts this idea down, but Alicent insists that if Viserys will not seek justice, she, the queen, will, ordering Sir Criston to bring her one of Luke's eyes, shocking Luke and the assembled court. Viserys once again urges Alicent to cease, but as he walks away, Alicent grabs Viserys' Valyrian steel dagger and attempts to carry out the punishment herself, frightening Luke and sending the room into uproar. Rhaenyra moves to stop her and protect Luke, suffering a wound on her left arm in the process. After the confrontation with LUCERYS, Jacaerys, Aemond, and Aegon, the following day, Luke and Jace were present with Rhaenyra as her arm is sewn by Maester Kelvin. When Laenor enters the room asking what happened, Kelvin states that Luke's broken nose is the worst to have occurred. Rhaenyra then dismisses Kelvin, followed by both Luke and Jace, claiming that the two have caused enough trouble as it is. Sometime after the incident with Aemond and his father's alleged murder, Luke is present alongside Jace, Baela, and Rhaena for the wedding of Rhaenyra and Daemon at Dragonstone. 6 years later, Luke travels with his family to King's Landing to defend his claim to Driftmark, as Lord Corlys has been severely wounded in the Stepstones. Corlys' brother Vaemond, backed by the Hightowers who rule in the name of the bedridden Viserys, seeks to take Driftmark for himself, believing he is Corlys' heir due to Laenor's death and Luke's illegitimacy. He and Jace go to the training yard. Growing uncomfortable at the many stares that he and his brother are getting, Luke whispers that none of this would be happening if he didn't look like Harwin Strong. Jace tells him that it doesn't matter what other people think. The two then see Aemond sparring with Criston Cole and go to watch. When Aemond wins the duel, he mockingly asks if they have come to train. A potential fight is prevented by Vaemond's arrival. Rhaenyra takes Rhaenys and the Red Keep's Godwood, where she proposes that Jace and Luke should be betrothed to Baela and Rhaena to further strengthen the alliance between the Targaryens and Velaryons. Luke is defended at the hearing over his inheritance by Rhaenyra and Rhaenys, who has agreed to the marriage proposals, and to the surprise of all, King Viserys himself. Vaemond loudly declares the bastardy of Rhaenyra's children, causing Daemon to decapitate him. Once at dinner, Luke can't help but laugh when Aemond is served a roast pig, reminded him of the prank that he pulled with Aegon and Jace. Aemond responds by mockingly toasting the boys as strong. Jace punches Aemond when he says it again. Luke tries to help him, but Aegon comes up from behind and slams his head into the table. Daemon interferes, forcing his stepsons and nephews to back down, while Rhaenyra decides to take her family back to Dragonstone that night. Eventually, Luke asks Rhaenyra if Corlys is going to die, saying that Vaemond was right in the better heir to Driftmark. Corlys was the best sailor alive, but Luke grew up on Dragonstone and is very prone to seasickness, which makes him think that he will ruin House Velaryon. Rhaenyra comforts him by saying she was named heir to the Iron Throne at his age and was also nervous, but in time she earned her inheritance. When Sir Laurent Marbrand informs Rhaenyra of Rhaenys' arrival on Dragonback, Rhaenyra sends her son off. Luke goes out to train with Jace on the beach under Sir Steffan Darklyn, but Rhaenys arrives with news of a Hightower coup in King's Landing that has crowned Aegon in the wake of King Viserys' death. Rhaenyra summons them to her bedchamber, where they arrive to see that she is prematurely giving birth to her half-sister, Visenya. After she tells them of Viserys' death and Aegon's coronation, they are both sent out of the room. At Visenya's funeral, Luke witnesses Sir Eric Cargill deliver the crown of Viserys to Rhaenyra, and joins the others in kneeling to her as the queen. As Rhaenyra tries to firmly establish alliances with the great houses, Jace and Luke volunteer as messengers. Rhaenyra decides to send Luke to Storm's End to treat with Lord Boros Baratheon. Before they leave, Rhaenyra tells Luke not to get into any fights, and that Lord Boros shares blood with him through Rhaenys. He should receive a warm welcome. He leaves Dragonstone on his dragon Erex and flies south. Luke arrives at Storm's End and lands in the courtyard. He is frightened to see Vhagar on the other side of the castle, which means that Aemond arrived before him. He approaches the guards at the door and introduces himself. Brought into the main hall, Luke delivers his mother's message to Lord Boros, the Lord of Storm's End, and is insulted by the wording, and asks LUCERYS which of his daughters he will wed, as Aemond has already secured the Baratheon support by promising to marry Florys Baratheon. Luke responds that he is already betrothed. Boros asks him to go home in response, but as he is leaving, Aemond gets his attention and tries to provoke him, asking if he thought he could conspire to steal Aegon's crown without cost. When Luke says that he will not fight, Aemond responds he doesn't want him to, and takes off his eye patch to reveal that he has placed a sapphire in the empty socket. He demands that Luke cut out one of his eyes as payment and throws him a dagger. When Luke refuses, Aemond charges to take out the eye himself. Lord Boros stops the fighting by reminding Aemond of Luke's status as an envoy, insisting he won't allow bloodshed between them under his roof, before ordering his guards to escort Luke out of the castle. Luke finds Erex in a state of great distress. After looking around for Vhagar and finding nothing, he calms Erex and the two fly off into a severe thunderstorm. Luke soon hears the roars of Vhagar and finds himself fleeing from the ancient dragon as Aemond has followed him to claim his debt. Luke steers Erex into a ravine to lose them, but he loses control of his panicked dragon, who blasts Vhagar in the head with dragon flame. As Aemond struggles to regain control over his enraged dragon, Luke and Erex fly up above the storm. As Luke is looking around for his pursuer, Vhagar emerges from the clouds and bites into Erex. As she crushes the much smaller dragon in half with a single bite, Luke is devoured whole. After Vhagar killed Erex and LUCERYS Velaryon, Daemon informs Rhaenyra of her son's death. Consumed by grief, Rhaenyra puts aside any doubts she had about going to war. So what did you guys think of the entire life of LUCERYS Velaryon? Please let me know in the comments down below. If If you haven't already, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.